Welcome back to Ferris Sports Update. Time to talk Bulldog basketball. And with us, women's basketball head coach Kurt Westendorp. Coach, welcome to the show.
Glad to be back for another year.
Hard to believe basketball season is already here, and you guys had a great event this past week, Dawgs After Dark, to kind of kick off the season.
Yeah, it's one of the benefits of when it's starting to get cold outside is, basketball season's around the corner. So yeah, Dawgs After Dark has kind of become our traditional way to kick off the season. Last Friday night we had, a few hundred of our fans in there, some family in there to get to watch the teams go through a scrimmage, do a little bit of shooting, try to get some of the student athletes involved, and just kind of get the weekend off to a great start and get the basketball season off to a great start.
What's it like for your kids being able to interact not only with the fans but also the men's basketball team over the course of that evening?
It just kind of makes the excitement get a little bit more and more ready for us to be actually playing games. Being able to put on the game uniforms, we're wearing our practice uniforms, we're practicing behind the scenes, but being able to put on the game jerseys, interact with the guys, have our freshmen really get to be on Wink Arena floor for the very first time with fans there watching them. It kind of gets some of the nerves out of the way, in a really low stress environment where they can have a lot of fun. I think the dance moves were kind of like probably one of the highlights of the thing for them. So it's just nice to have a real low stress environment to just kick off the year.
Of course, as we see some of the footage from the evening event, I got a chance to introduce all the players from both teams and a chance for the fans to kind of see those athletes come out for the first time this season.
Yeah, there's a lot of new faces on the men's side, and we got 3 new faces on our team as well. It's nice for them to get to see Charlotte, Kenzie, and Milena kind of for the first time. We're having a few of our players that were injured last year getting back in it. Mara Mitchell is getting back in there for us. So it's just nice to see all the new faces out there, having a little bit of fun. You can see here doing some of the shooting contests with the 3-pointers, which the guys finally beat us. It took them 3 years. And even still, Grace Lyons did an awesome job for us. Just Ty did just a little bit better. But it was just nice to be able to do some of these contests and have some fun with them. We had our own dunk contest. You can see right here. We said, why are the guys the only ones that get a dunk contest? So we had some fun putting together our little video, and then the guys really put on a show. Like, this might have been the best dunk contest we've had in the 3 years that we've done it. They did an awesome job of really making the dunk. Sometimes, when they miss some of the dunks, it's like, okay, a little anticlimactic, but they tried some difficult ones and they went down.
Of course, both teams got a chance to kind of get up and down the floor here, a little bit of a scrimmage, more of an NBA type feel.
Oh yeah, it's a little bit like the NBA All-Star game. I told our girls, I was like, we're not shooting behind the back shots or anything like that, but we're trying to give the fans a little bit of a preview of what we look like. So it's kind of hard when you tell these players, you're either going all out or you're taking a little bit easy. I think the guys would be a little disappointed with that defense right there. But that's the fun thing, to just get out there, play a little bit. We both had practices earlier in the day. Again, shake some of those nerves, build some of the excitement for the fans, and we almost had a climactic ending here with the $10,000 shot, but it was just short.
Obviously a great night overall, and really a great way to kick off the basketball season here for both programs.
Yeah, I think both the programs are really itching to get out there for real. Like, this is kind of like that appetizer, and you want to get out there. We have some scrimmages coming up. The guys have an exhibition game. We go play at Michigan coming up later this week. But really, we're ready to get playing against somebody else. When you practice against each other for as long as we have, we really get rolling. That first week of school, it's limited hours, and then late September we get to crank up the hours, but you're playing against each other every single day. You're looking forward to having a different opponent to play against. So we're looking forward to this Thursday. We get to play against a Big Ten team, and then it's just next week. It's next Friday that we tip off the season out in Pennsylvania.
Of course, got to be ready. That preseason exhibition on Thursday night against Michigan going to prepare you well for what you're going to see here to start the year in the Division II Tip-Off Classic.
Yeah, we have a very challenging schedule. So we looked at our preseason scrimmages and exhibitions and tried to just ask anyone out there that we knew was going to be a really good team if they wanted to compete. So Michigan was one of those teams that kind of bit, and they said yes, and that's a game that can definitely help us in a lot of areas. We're going to play teams that have a little more size, a little more speed, a little more athleticism, where we got to really be on our game with our details. We have to be really tough rebounding the basketball. We got to be tough defending the paint. And they're definitely going to challenge us in all those areas. I think they're ranked number 13 in the country in Division I, so it's not just any old Division I team. You're playing one of the best in the country. So we know that we got to get our details right, and what we learn from Thursday is going to help us out next Friday when we play North Georgia, and then Union, and then Cal from Pennsylvania. We play 3 really tough teams. So it's not just a game where we can go have fun, take a few pictures, and enjoy the experience. We got to be learning some things and playing the basketball that we need to play to compete that opening weekend.
Of course, you guys have a great nucleus back, a lot of veteran talent, and 3 freshmen that you've added to the roster here this season.
Yeah, it's nice that having so many returning faces that we've moved quite quickly through our preseason installs, with getting ready to play these 3 preseason, scrimmages and exhibition games, being able to play in a tip-off classic. We just got out of a captain's meeting and explained to our captains, we're going to have 6 competitions in against outside competition before the rest of Division II plays their first game. So we're really trying to hit that ground running, have a challenging schedule that's going to prepare us for March, and also set us up to really have a strong strength of schedule when it comes to tournament selections. We'd like to be one of those top seeds in the region, and if you can win some games like this, it gives you a leg up over your competition. So those returning players, it really helps. And for our freshmen, you're going to see quite a bit of them early on as well. Charlotte Miller is doing an excellent job out of Ann Arbor. Milena Gleish is doing a really good job out of Wisconsin, and Kenzie Garner coming from Indiana is also doing a wonderful job of just getting themselves in the mix. And I think you're going to see several of those players, in our rotation.
For those returning players, how much does that experience from the past and playing in some big games really help them as you get ready to face a tough schedule?
Well, we'll go in knowing that we won't be nervous. I think they understand what these games take right away from the tip, and that's for Thursday night for us at Michigan. From the tip, you got to be focused in. You can't just kind of feel your way out in games like this, and then have a little bit of a deficit and be fighting back. You want to be that team that punches first, and when you've been in these games already, there's a little less of the nerves that are there. You're a little more focused those first 3 to 5 minutes of the game. It's like, hey, what are we trying to accomplish right now? Instead of sometimes when you have a little bit of a younger team, you're a little bit tentative. You might take a few more quick shots. I know that we're going to value the basketball. We're going to get the shots that we want and hopefully be much improved defensively with trying to play more of a full court game that'll really benefit us.
Of course, I know these non-conference games are really going to help prepare you well for the GLIAC, and the GLIAC is challenging as ever, I'm sure, this season.
Yeah, you look at it top to bottom, there's not nights off in our league, which last year I think our entire conference had the strongest strength of schedules in our region. You had to go through every single GLIAC team before you got to the first team of either of the other conferences in our region. So we know that we'll be challenged night in and night out, and I think that's one of the things that makes us ready to play good basketball in March, is knowing that you have to prepare really well every single night. There are some conferences and maybe some stretches of team schedules where you can look 2-3 weeks and you're not going to be challenged very much. And if it's not challenging you, how's it making you any better? And we want to be playing really good basketball once we get to March, because we know there's going to be teams like Grand Valley standing in the way, Northern Michigan standing in the way, teams that made the NCAA tournament last year. Wayne State also made the NCAA tournament last year. And then we'll see what the new team is this year that really makes big strides, because there's always 1 or 2 teams that come out of the GLIAC and really surprise you with how competitive they are. And we just got to be prepared night in and night out for those battles.
Well, Coach, thanks for the time. Congrats on a great Dawgs After Dark event, and best of luck as you get ready to tip off the season.
Thank you, Rob.
We'll be back with more Ferris Sports Update right after this.